Okay.
Gavin Shields, thank you very much for coming on the podcast, buddy. How the devil are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome, buddy. I genuinely enjoy talking to you, mate. And I always, I didn't actually mention this in our pre-chat. I always say that you're the person how I look for sites because I know it sounds obvious now, but I think we had a chat maybe 3 years ago, and you said something like, "Well, it's easy. All you do is look for underserviced, and you just look at the population and how much square foot of self storage there is." I was like, "Oh my god, yes, that is so simple." And obviously now everybody talks about it, but that was the first ever time I heard it, and it just made so much sense. And I can't believe that I never actually articulated that way in my head before. So yeah, mate, thank you very much.
No problem. No, I look forward to the stake in the company.
Yeah, the royalties. So, for people who don't know, obviously, Gavin is the founder of Stora. How is Stora doing, buddy?
Store is great. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, no, it's been just over 3 years since we started it now, which seems like too short. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that. It's been great. Yeah, like we started Stora. I've got my own sites here in Northern Ireland, and we built some software to help make the business run more smoothly, and started the business to help that. We started Stora to help my sites run well, and it just seems to have caught the imagination of people. I think we've probably tapped into quite a lot of people who are probably similar to yourself, where it's kind of, well, we do hear quite a bit. We got into self storage because we read some of the articles from Stora and some of the things that you guys are doing, and we it seemed like a really good investment. So we hear that from customers quite a bit, and yeah, just growing and growing. We've got 350 sites now in the UK using Stora, which is about 15% of the UK market.
That's
And
crazy.
some of the stuff that I think we spoke probably 3.5 or 4 years ago for the first time before Stora on a podcast, and I was talking about all these things we really wanted to do, and we're just kind of getting into the zone now where we're big enough where we can actually start to do some interesting things. It's one of the things that you talk about quite a bit is like us having data, and we do have tons of data. So 350 sites, over 1,000 bookings a month going through the platform, tens or maybe hundreds of thousands of website visitors a month across all of the different website and checkouts that we host. And we haven't really done a great job yet of kind of moving from having the data to using the data. We released a thing earlier this year, a UK industry report, which was based on all the stuff we were seeing in trends, and that was fine. But it was a static kind of report. Here are some trends from last year, and there was some great stuff in there. But we're getting to the point now where we can start to properly use that data to present our customers with stuff that can really help them. So trends around pricing, trends around demand, even the thing that I've probably talked about ages ago is if online bookings, online conversions, they're so important. If assuming you're doing it, no matter what you do online, whether you're collecting leads, doing quotes, or letting people go ahead and book, whatever you're doing, you got to make sure that you're doing it as efficiently as possible. Any mistake in a place, or the wrong button, or the wrong request, or something that's confusing for people will kill your conversion rates. So we're now at a point where I think we can start to collect data and actually do proper testing on checkouts, on quote requests, to make everything as efficient as possible. But we haven't really done that yet. So that's just stuff that's coming, and it's only going to be possible because we have thousands of, I would say probably hundreds of thousands of visitors a month going through our checkouts. So we can actually properly A/B test, properly improve it. Say, here are our tests, and we got conversion from 10% to 11% with this change, and it was across 2,000 visitors. So we know that it's not just I changed the color of the button, and in March, after I did that, it was better than February. So you can't really make proper conclusions around things like that. But we're at the point now where I think we can. So that's where we're going with the business now going forward.
I absolutely love that. That was absolutely brilliant. Have you ever heard of someone called Sam Parr from My First Million podcast?
I've maybe heard the name from you, but otherwise no.
Yeah, so basically Sam Parr, he exited a company. It's reported about £28 million, didn't know what to do, and then now he set up something called Hampton, and he's got, so basically it's like a mastermind basically, and people get together and they share the figures and numbers and stuff. And how he grows that is he puts out reports all the time. And so you maybe want to have a look at what he does, because it's incredible the data that they get. And so I'm on the mailing list now, and he says, look, from these 100 companies in this sector, here's what we're seeing. And he strips down exactly what's happening. He said, by the way, if you want to see more stuff like this, why not join Hampton? And that's how he says he gets most of his customers from doing stuff like that, by basically putting out the industry reports. So yeah, I think that's cool. And you've already said you did it previously. Any sort of data, I think that people absolutely love. And the fact that you've got so many customers, it's not like you say, it is accurate reporting. It's not, you know, we got more online reservations or move-ins in March than we did in February. Well, obviously, there's a whole host of criteria. I mean, me and you spoke about this at length about online reservations and stuff. And yeah, but it's not A versus BD. It's not exactly the same. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. But now you're at that stage where you can do so. I'd be the first to love anything that you can put out to the industry. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's so getting to the size right now allows us to leverage our scale, and that's one way to leverage scale. There are other things that we're doing which are probably going to come sooner. So we're now, I think, the fourth or fifth largest payment processor in self-storage in the UK. So we're doing about somewhere between 30 and 40 million this year, what we'll process through Stora. And so, you know, if you're Big Yellow or Safe Store, you know, you can go to your payment processor with 100 and something million of volume every year and say, look, you know, we want to squeeze, you know, we want the best rates because we're big.
Yeah.
But small operators with 1, 2, 5, 10 sites, you know, putting a couple $100,000 a month through, they don't have the power to really get the rates down. Whereas, this isn't out yet, but it's very close. So we've negotiated massive discounts on payment processing, and that's allowing us to pass huge discounts on to our customers, because, you know, it's not just this year, like next year, because we're sort of doubling or more every year in terms of our volume, you know, we can negotiate very low rates. So really what we want to get to is we have the best payment processing fees. I mean, it's not the core part of anybody's business, but it's an important cost line. So
Yeah.
you know, if we can get the lowest fees and pass them on to our customers, and then, you know, just, you know, charge for Stora and have these great fees, like, our product becomes cheaper to use. Everyone makes more money. Everyone does better. And that really comes back to one of the things that we're looking at now is like, why does Stora exist? Like, our mission, you know, like if we go back a few years, we didn't really have this written down, but it's always been about helping ourselves and others now to build a better self-storage business. So like, our mission's help people build better self-storage businesses. And, you know, things like costs and conversions and all these things that we can now do because of our scale, they're going to be really, really big game changers, I think, as we move things forward. But as you know, you have to take your time and do things right. So nothing happens all of a sudden, but that's the direction that the company's going in at the moment.
Just talking to you today, Gavin, I'm genuinely so excited to see where Stora comes from, because it was just, I remember having a conversation when it was just an idea, where you had an idea for it. And from what it was then to what it is now, I'm genuinely getting goose pimples, because I just think it's so exciting. So if I'm excited about it, watching from afar, you must be like just going to bed giddy every single night.
That'll be the beers. No, well, it is a bit of a, I suppose in a way it's a surprise, because whenever I got into self-storage 5 years ago, it was actually because I'd been in tech companies for about 10 or 12 years, and it was actually a little bit kind of jaded by technology, and I fancied doing something a bit lower risk. And that's why I opened up self-storage sites. So really, with no intention, Stephen Highlands, who helped me out really early and was a Stora from the start, really, you know, it was just a bit of fun. And that's kind of when we think about our mission, like because whenever you're starting up a business, you're like, we need a customer, you know, we need 5 customers, we want 10 customers, and you're really focused on just the numbers. But after a while, you know, numbers don't get you up in the morning, because, you know, like, they get boring after a while. You know, the mission for our business is really back to what we started out at the start, was building better self-storage businesses. And I just think I think the reason it has come to as far as it's come is because we've just always really been focused on that. Like, how do we make your life easier, Dean, other people's lives easier? How do we reduce your costs, increase your revenue? At the end of the day, that's what really matters. And we're just trying to stay focused on that. And sometimes we don't get everything right, and we sometimes make, release stuff that we're like, oh, did that really change things, or did that really help much? But in the main, I think we're taking things in the right direction.
Yeah. What's next for Stora then? What's the plans?
What's next? Well, I suppose we're at a point now in the UK market where, with about 15% of the sites, we're in a pretty strong position. But as well, whenever we started, it was really focused on initially on startups and people with one site, and then our product has matured, and so now we've got to the point where our average customer is about twice the size of what they would have been about a year and a half ago. So we're bringing on bigger customers. So I suppose next for Stora is just releasing more features that are designed to help bigger operators. So better reporting, which is something that we have a great reporting structure in Stora, but we haven't got all of the accounting reporting and some of the things that the bigger operators would want to see on a day-to-day basis. So we're investing a lot in that, and then also starting to leverage some of the things to leverage our scale that ultimately would help also other operators. So I suppose the short answer is we're focusing on making Stora more and more attractive for bigger customers, bigger operators in the UK.
Yeah. So obviously, with all that data you see, how are you seeing the industry at the minute? Is there anything concerning you at the minute, or is it? Obviously it wasn't going to be like it was in the COVID years, but are we going back to seeing busy times in the summer, less busier in the winter? How are you seeing the industry at the minute? Are you positive about it, or are you a little bit fearful?
Well, I suppose like I'm very positive about the industry. I still, I look at if we forget about our storage data, because we don't, like, we have got data, we don't, like I was saying, it's kind of static. We look at it and then we release the report. So in our report, we saw we looked at number of bookings per month over the year, and there's a summer peak, there's a winter lull. November, December, January were the quietest months across hundreds of sites, and I think it was June, July, August are the busiest. No surprise with any of that information. So I think that we're seeing that continuing. I still look around the UK and just like I live in Northern Ireland. I'm over in England a lot, but around Northern Ireland, I still go into towns and I can't help thinking, geez, this place could do with a self-storage site, and I'm not growing my site at all anymore. So just because I'm so focused on Stora, but there's a big opportunity here. I know there's lots of people in Northern Ireland now doing a lot of that stuff. So while there's still a big opportunity, there's definitely more competition coming in because people are becoming more and more aware of it. So yeah, I think those are competition isn't always a bad thing. It's normally a sign that there is an opportunity. So no, I'm still very bullish on the market. I think the industry is growing. There's still big opportunity. We're still way behind Australia and the US in terms of square foot per capita of supply. So yeah, no, I still think it's great.
Do you think we'll ever get to the American levels, square foot per capita?
Well, I don't know. Like, I am there quite a bit, and when you're chatting to people, like everyone has a boat, and
Yeah,
like it's like some sort of like off-road vehicle, and everyone has so much stuff. So my feeling is that no, I'd be shocked. I mean, it's
yeah, I
it's
agree. Yeah.
9 square feet. We're at 0.8, so like we're at 11, 10, 11, 12%. I can't see it. I just don't think we own enough stuff. Who knows though in the next 50, 100 years, but not in any sort of short or medium term, I don't think.
Yeah. So do you still see there's a massive opportunity in the UK then? Because I tell everybody to get into self-storage. I think I don't even know ultimately who's a good operator and who's a bad operator because it's a growing industry. It's fantastic. If you can't make self-storage work as a business, then there's something fundamental that you're doing wrong. And so I tell everybody that'll listen to me to get into self-storage. I've got best friends now going self-storage. I've got my two sisters are opening the place as well. I can't, it's not officially signed yet, so I can't tell everybody where it is. But I mean, this place that they're opening, they've got 60,000 population, no indoor self-storage, 60,000 population. It is crazy. Yeah, so I personally think there's a massive opportunity still, even though everybody says, yeah, but look at the competition, look at the competition. I can promise you in 5 years' time, you're going to look back on this time and think, holy shit, there was no competition compared to what there is now. My idea is get in and do as much opening self-storage as you possibly can do for the next 10 years and then get out, because in America the competition is everywhere, and the self-storage, not every site is performing well, and not every person who opens a self-storage there is doing well. And so I think at the minute, with that, the amount of square foot of self-storage per capita, I think we should all be just looking at growth and how we can open as many self-storage as possible. Obviously, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin, but that's my thinking of it. How are you seeing it, buddy?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, we talked about this before, but there are 750 towns in the UK with between 5 and 50,000 people in them. It's 20 million people. It's a third of the UK population. And this is out of date data because it was 4 years ago when I did this, but 4 years ago, I couldn't find any that had indoor self-storage, right? So maybe there's only 650 left, but that's 650 towns without indoor self-storage, where, now that you can have unmanned sites, you can build smaller facilities, whatever way you want to do it, there's ways to make it work. So, and probably, if you're listening to, your podcast, a lot of people doing that, you could get the impression that, everyone knows that maybe it's too late, but not like it is just not too late at all. There's just such a big opportunity. And then there's a different phase of opportunity too in the future, because, I think the opportunity at the moment in the UK is open new sites. That's probably the main opportunity. But, if you look at the US, the opportunity in the US is go and buy poorly run sites, go and buy 10 of them, 20 of them, 50 of them, 100 of them, and bring it together. And that will probably, I'd imagine the UK will shift a little bit towards that in the next 5 or 10 years, because you'll have people like your sister running a well-run site in a town. Maybe there's a container site there too, or maybe there's a few, but they're maybe not being well run. And then there's an opportunity suddenly for maybe your sister or maybe somebody else come and buy those and increase prices, manage revenue properly, run the business, and go and buy 10 of those, and have a really nice cash flow business. So the nature of the opportunity will change over time, but I think at the moment it still sits for me as open new sites.
I think you put that perfectly. Gavin, before we go, buddy, where can people learn more about Stora?
On our website, stora.co, at stora.co. So it's not .com or .co.uk, just stora.co. There's tons of information there. We have financial models on there. We have lots of educational information on there. So, if you're getting started, if you're looking to grow your business, we have guides about growing and all sorts of stuff there. So yeah, check it out and get in touch anytime.
Gavin, congratulations, mate, on all your success. I couldn't have wished for a nicer bloke to be doing so well, mate. So yeah, awesome, mate. I think it's amazing just watching from the sidelines, buddy. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on, pal.
Thanks a lot, Dean.